My stepsister slept with my ex-fiancé and married him. I can't forget it after 5 years. I changed some minor details for the sake of remaining anonymous. Also, sorry this is so long. Once I started writing I found it cathartic and couldn't stop word vomiting all over the post. TLDR at the bottom. When I was 23, now 28, I was engaged to Ryan, was 32, now 37. Our engagement ended when my stepsister Kelly, was 24, now 29, begged me to leave him because they loved each other, but Ryan was too afraid to break up with because he didn't want to hurt me/my family. When I confronted Ryan about it, he denied it, said she had been trying to come on to him for some time and he never mentioned it because he didn't want to ruin our relationship. He begged me not to believe her, and so we continued how we were. Kelly grew resentful and made nasty comments about how I was forcing a man who didn't even love me to marry me because I had low self-esteem constantly. A month later, she sent me a video of them having sex in my bed and multiple screenshots of him telling her he loved her, how he wished she was the girl he was marrying, how he hated that I wouldn't let them be together. I was devastated and angry, but my best friend convinced me not to go nuclear on them and instead to quietly move out when Ryan was at work the next week. So that's what I did. I contacted my dad and my stepmom and asked them if I could move in temporarily. I removed the money I had contributed into our joint account for wedding expenses and transferred the rest to him before closing the account. Once I got settled in, I sent all of the screenshots she sent me to all of our relatives and his. Ryan tried to get back together with me multiple times, but I ended up blocking him when I found out he had proposed to her with the same ring he gave me. I left it behind. Now Kelly is my stepsister from my mom's side. I have another stepsister, 36, and stepbrother, 38, from my mom's second marriage and a half-sister, 26. They all went to the wedding. Whenever I tried to express I was hurt by the fact they were just supporting Kelly/Ryan as though what they did to me meant nothing, they would shrug it off and say they couldn't cut them out completely because they were family. I haven't spent a single holiday with my mom's side since, neither has my older biological brother or sister. I only see my mom and half-sister when I invite them over to my place, as Kelly/Ryan moved in with my mom and my stepdad a year after they got married. Our relationship is very rocky, but I've grown closer to my dad/stepmom and their children, an older stepbrother and 2 younger half-siblings, who have all been very supportive since this all happened, so it's not all been bad. On New Year's Day my boyfriend, now husband, proposed to me. We had a small engagement party which I invited my mom and half-sister to. They never turned up because I was excluding half of our family. I never invited my stepdad or step-siblings because they were pretty hurtful when it came out that Kelly/Ryan were sleeping together. They claimed it wasn't their fault I got in the way of true love and made me out to be some sort of vindictive Disney villain for being angry with them. We were planning to have our wedding ceremony this summer, but in late February my husband suggested we postponed until next year because he was concerned COVID would get worse and we would have to cancel/reschedule anyway. I ended up finding out I was pregnant a month before our original wedding date, so we had a courthouse wedding on that date with the plan to hold the ceremony next year. Only my dad's side of the family were aware of both the pregnancy and the wedding. My stepmom likes to knit, so she's been making some stuff for the baby. Recently, she posted about the things she had made on Facebook with a caption talking about how excited she was to have another grandchild soon. I was tagged in the post. I have zero issues with the post. I never told my family I wasn't going to inform my mom's side. It wasn't that I intentionally hid it from her, she just never seemed very interested in my life/relationship, so I never brought it up. My mom called me an hour later to demand to know if I was pregnant and how she couldn't believe I hadn't told her she was finally going to be a grandmother. She has since invited me and my husband over to her house multiple times. I've declined every single time for the obvious reason. My stepdad, who I've barely spoken to in 5 years, has reached out to tell me how excited he is to meet the baby, and my husband, same with my siblings. Even Kelly reached out to my husband to congratulate us. I was furious. The next time my mom and stepdad called me, I finally laid into them. I told them I didn't want them to keep inviting me over when they knew I would be forced to see Kelly/Ryan if I came. I told them how hurt and angry I still am over what they did to me and how my family dismissed my feelings. I told them how they wouldn't throw Kelly/Ryan away, but they were so quick to leave me out to rot whilst I was going through the worst betrayal I'd ever experienced in my life. I told them I wasn't even sure I wanted people like them in my child's life. My mom was crying hysterically and kept saying I was being cruel, and I couldn't deprive her of her first grandchild. The thing is, my baby isn't her first grandchild. My sister has 2 adopted daughters already who my mom doesn't even try to bond with. She kept wailing about how I might be the only person in our family to even give her grandchildren. My stepsisters are both having a hard time getting/staying pregnant, and my half-sister has proclaimed herself to be child-free. My stepdad got angry and defensive. He claimed I was petty for holding on to something that happened 5 years ago. He pointed out how I had found someone else, so I should understand how love works, and sometimes 2 people just can't help themselves. You love who you love, basically. He said Kelly/Ryan were happy together, so I should be happy for them the way they're happy for me and my husband. The ironic thing is my sister told me Kelly/Ryan looked like they were on the verge of divorce and they argue constantly. My mom complains to her about them and how my siblings all hate him but pretend they like him for Kelly's sake. I ended up hanging up because I was so angry, and when I get angry, I start crying. I didn't want them to think they got to me. Since, I've been receiving texts and calls non-stop from my mom's family. They're all essentially telling me I should be over things already. It's gotten to the point me and my husband have switched phones so he can screen my messages for me and I don't have to read them. TLDR, my stepsister slept with my ex-fiancé and married him. I'm now happily married to someone else and we're expecting our first child together. My family thinks I should be over it already since I've moved on, but the anger is still there and I have no interest in forming a relationship with my ex or my stepsister again. They're now putting pressure on me to try and get me to forget it ever happened. How do I make my family understand just how unforgivable what Kelly/Ryan have done to me is? I would prefer not to go completely no contact, but is that my only option here? My husband became a robot and I don't know how to help him. The title sounds insane, but here I go. We've been married for 6 years and have 2 kids. I'm pregnant with a 3rd. My husband works from 9 to 5, comes home, does his chores, plays with our 2 kids, talks to me for a little bit, and then goes to sleep. But he doesn't seem to enjoy doing any of it. Like this whole thing is one big chore. He used to be this goofy guy who smiled and told jokes all the time, but I haven't seen the man smile in months. It's not like he's neglecting his duties as a husband and father, but he acts like it's just that, duties. Like hanging with the kids and me is a second job. I'm grateful for all he's doing, and he makes all of our lives so much easier, but it's like he's constantly on the clock and I think he might be depressed. I tried asking him if he was doing okay and he tells me he's doing fantastic, but I know he's not. That's the line he uses at work when customers try to make small talk and ask how he's doing. He doesn't take any time for himself. He doesn't take any breaks. He stopped playing games and stopped watching TV. He just does what I feel he thinks needs to be done, and I don't know how to help him out. Our sex life has become one-sided. We do it frequently, but only because I initiate frequently. Even if he doesn't seem in the mood, he'll do it. Like it's his responsibility to make me happy. It feels like he isn't there in the moment, like his mind is wandering the whole time we're intimate, and that, to me, feels worse than getting rejected. I don't know what's going on, and I don't know how to help because he won't let me in. To anybody else he seems fine, but I know something is wrong and I don't know how to fix this. I miss my husband, the guy who complained and told jokes. Not this robotic shell that looks like him. Edit, alright, wow. I didn't expect this to blow up. I want to thank you all for your advice, I really appreciate it. It's clear to me now that my husband is overworked and burnt out. He comes home from work in a couple hours and I'm going to sit him down and talk to him. I'm going to tell him how I feel, and I hope that together we can find a solution that turns him back into the man he once was. I'm sorry if wasn't able to respond to everyone, but I want you all to know I read every comment and response. I'll post an update soon about how it goes. Bye! Update. Hey everybody, here's the update. I wrote this a couple days ago but couldn't post it because it was too soon. My husband came home at around 6 o'clock, and after he had something to eat, I took him to the bedroom to talk. I sat him down on the bed and told him I was worried about him. I didn't know exactly how to phrase my worries, so I just showed him my original post. When he finished reading the post, he started crying, like full-on crying. In all the years that I have known this man, I had never seen a tear roll down his eye. I held him for a few minutes until he could recompose himself, and he told me everything. He told me that the world was in a shitty place right now, and that we're bringing a child into a stressful time. He said when I became pregnant, he felt he had to step up. He needed to take care of things because it was his responsibility. He said that the weight of carrying the family was so much harder than he anticipated, so he thought if he doubled down he could get through it. But the more he tried, the darker the tunnel got, and eventually he couldn't see an end. He said that he feels like he's constantly drowning, and the only breath of fresh air is on the car ride between home and work. He said that sometimes the stress is so much that he throws up, but doesn't tell anyone and instead keeps going with his day. He then pulled out a pack of gum from his pocket and said this was for when it happens. I asked him why he couldn't tell me any of this, and he said he didn't want to burden me with the truth. He said that he thought if he told me everything, that I would stop seeing him as a protector and provider, and that I would inevitably stop loving him. Hearing him say that brought tears to my eyes because I didn't know where he got the notion I would feel that way. I asked him if he wanted to quit his job, but surprisingly he said the job doesn't bother him. He said the work in of itself was fine. It's just now he feels an added weight to provide because not only was he fortunate enough to keep his job in the pandemic, but we also had a kid on the way. He said that some days he feels like packing a suitcase and running to some tropical island for a week and not telling anyone. But then he feels guilty and doubles down even more. I told him that maybe he should go on a trip. I said that he deserved a break, and maybe if he did exactly that he'd feel better. He tried to protest, but I insisted. In the end said that he'll only go if we go together. Like a romantic getaway between spouses. Once things start to clear up and before the baby is due, he wants to take a week off from work, drop the kids off at grandma's house and have us go on a vacation. Just the two of us, like we used to when we first got married. He also said he wants to take the day off tomorrow and just sleep in, so that's the plan. I'll call his boss tomorrow and say that he's sick and can't come in. It's not like they'll make a sick man come into work. There's a pandemic going on, smiley face. Right now he's playing with the kids and it doesn't feel like he's doing one of his chores. He actually seems to be enjoying himself. For the first time in months I don't see the robot, I see my husband. Edit. Hey everyone, I want to thank you all for the support. I read all of your comments, and I appreciate all of you. I didn't expect this to get so much traction, so I want to clarify some things. First things first, my husband says hi. I wanted to clarify about the chores people are taking about. I want to say that I know as a Som the bulk of chores goes to me. I cook and clean and do laundry because I know it's my responsibility. My husband's only chores are doing dishes, vacuuming every 3 days, and a few other house maintenance stuff. I did in fact call in sick for my husband, but I made sure that I said he had a migraine. I saw on Google that it wasn't a symptom of COVID if it was an isolated symptom. His boss was okay with it and said he can come back whenever he feels better. The pregnancy wasn't an accident. We both did want to have 3 kids because we were both raised in 3-kid families. We actively tried for the first 2, but for baby number 3 it was kind of a if it happens kind of thing. We're both happy with the amount of kids we have/will have and are hopefully done. We are not considering abortion nor adoption. We realize that a 1-week vacation isn't enough to get rid of his stress and are both trying to come up with a solution that alleviates his stress in a more sustainable way. Right now we're thinking about setting up an hour or 2 a day that's daddy's time. No kids, no me, no work. Just for him to relax. To those of you who think this fake, there isn't any way I can change your minds about this situation, so I'm not really too bothered. I just hope this never happens to you guys. You all have been supportive and really a wonderful bunch of people. I really think we can get through this, and it wouldn't have been possible without you guys. I'm not going to reply to comments because, like last time, it's an overwhelming amount. But just know I'm reading these as they come in. Good night everyone, it's been great.